It is only 2 weeks till we will finally see gameplay for Civilization VII, and that means it is time for another episode of things I would love to see improved for the next Civ game. And today we are talking about a crucial aspect of the game, which is the resources in the game. Because let's be honest here, without resources, your empire will crumble and fall apart. So you need them no matter what. And before we talk about resources, we also have to talk about something else, which is the starting position in the Civ games. They have been a sore point for a lot of players, and I think they need some talking because a lot of the times people reset their starting positions because they are just not happy with the environment and the resources they have at their disposal. So let's get right to it. First things first, let's talk about the starting positions, right? We all had it at some point that we started a round of Civ, and then after just 3 or 5 turns, we see enough of the map that we can just determine, okay, this is not going anywhere. This is just bad. This is going against everything I'm doing here, really, and I have to reset. Right, and then you do it twice, you do it 3 times, you do it 5 times over. I sometimes saw people even do it 10 times over. And I'm not even talking about perfect starting positions. I'm literally just talking about like okay, let me have something which makes sense. And I think they really have to work on that. It is doable, like Age of Wonders 4, which I will mention a little bit here in today's video, is actually doing that. Age of Wonders 4 is giving you a few resources here and there, which will be usable in the early, mid, and end game. Not all of it, just a little bit, so that you have something maybe other players do not have, and that's special to your starting position. But also, depending on the perks you have been chosen, like you are thriving in snow and tundra areas, the game will actually start you in a snow and tundra area. Something Civ still cannot do, and we still have those moments where, well, you're choosing the snow and tundra perk in Civ, and you're ending up in the jungle, and you're like, what is this? Right? So that is definitely something they have to work on. And as I said, it's really important for the people and why they reset is because they feel like the resources they have at their disposal, which they figure out relatively quickly for at least what they can see, they just realize, okay, let's do a reset here. And that leads us to the resource topic. So I want resources to be changed. And it really seems like that Phyrexis is of the same mind because we have seen some swooping changes from Civilization 5 to Civilization 6 when it came to the resources. And even after a few patches, things got changed around in Civ 6 as well. So it seems like they are still not really happy with what they have, and I'm really curious to see what they are doing with 7. But let's talk about luxury resources first. I want them to do more with it. Like right now, you are just getting the luxury resources for one thing, and that is happiness. And don't get me wrong, the happiness is important, the happiness is great, and I don't want them to stop that. That is still a system which should exist in the game. But I would like them to add something on top of it. Like, give me some extra perks the luxury resource does, or, well, copy the system from Age of Wonders 4. Well, actually, also previous Age of Wonders games, but what they are doing, if you have never played it, they have also luxury resources. Well, they are magical resources there, but it's the same thing as an idea. But they put them into categories. So when you are filling a category and you have all the resources of that category, you will get an extra buff. And that buff is really cool and it's really helpful, especially for the long term of the game. And I would love to see that Civilization is doing something similar, right? That you have to get like all the rare metals or all the rare vegetables or something like that, right? And then you are getting an extra agriculture perk or you get an extra production perk or something like that. I would love to see that because it would make the luxury resources so much more important. In a lot of Civ games, I'm most of the time just taking the luxury resources I can get. And when I have too many, I trade them, of course, with other nations. But I'm never really looking for it. I never really want that specific resource. Like I never catched myself thinking, oh man, you know what would be great right now for me? If I could just get whales. Oh, that would be so good for what I'm planning to do here. Like that never occurred because, well, it doesn't really make a difference, right? With like which luxury resource you get. And so I want them to do a little bit more with that. Now, let's talk about the strategic resources, which are really important, especially if you want to wage a war. You need strategic resources. And how it works right now is, let's say you want to build a swordsman in the early ages and you don't have any iron nearby. That really sucks because that means now you cannot build a swordsman. So what you have to do is you have to find somebody who hopefully has iron, or you have to wage war with somebody who has iron and who might be able to build swordsmen, a much, much stronger unit than you have. And that puts you at a pretty big disadvantage, which I sometimes feel is a little bit too impactful, especially early on when you are still trying to manage so many things. And not having those strategic resources nearby is a problem. So, what am I proposing? No, I'm not proposing that they have to put more strategic resources all over the map. You can already do that if you want to. What I would love to see is that they are changing their approach on how it works. So, let's say you don't have iron, right? And you should still be able to build that swordsman. But, and this is the but, you don't get a perk. Like, let's say you would have iron. Now your swordsman will get a perk that they are taking 10% less damage range. Less range damage. What am I saying? Less range damage. And or they're getting the ability that they can move over a river without having to stop on the other side. Or later on, when you have more ships and you're working with oil or coal, that means your ships can now move further than they actually would be able to without coal or without oil, right? I would love to see that those strategic resources are actually giving your units buffs or perks, which would be really helpful, which will not necessarily swing every fight, but definitely give you an edge, right? Like, I'm not advocating here to make strategic resources useless, but I want them to be more strategic, right? Like, I can still build all my units, but having those strategic resources will, in the end, help me more than not having them. And again, I'm hoping because they made some changes in Civ 6 themselves already over the years that they are still not really happy where they are with the strategic resources. And I hope we will see some changes in the gameplay trailer. But we will see about that. Let me know what you think definitely down below in the comments. And with that said, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like. And also, if you're new to the channel and you love strategy games like I do, make sure to subscribe because that's what we are covering here at the Mole Under Management channel. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Bye-bye.